Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry, and I have a sad cabbage that I'm going to be dealing with, and I'll show you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. You know, this cabbage was just gorgeous. It was getting large, it's pretty hard. Irene went out to harvest this cabbage and it was split right in half. That's disappointing, but it's okay, I can salvage it. As with all cabbage, we need to pull off the outside leaves. This cabbage is a little bit wimpy because I had no room in the refrigerator, so I had to leave it on the sideboard. Should have done this yesterday, but we had a lot of things going on, and the day was just jam-packed with stuff. I like this size cabbage because when I make coleslaw, it's a delicious cabbage, and this makes a small amount that we can eat in probably 2 meals. I love coleslaw, so I'm happy to have more coleslaw rather than less. You can see this cabbage split. It split on an angle relative to the root. That's no big deal. And smelling it, it smells just like cabbage, because it is. These leaves look great. Now, if this had set for any amount of time and the edges of this cabbage were browned, I'd just go ahead and trim it up. And I'll show you how I do that. I have a sharp knife. You could use a paring knife. I'm using a larger chef's knife. Just going to clean up that edge. Go down into the crack. Take off that leaf that's a little wimpy, and this one too. Now this cabbage is ready to be used. I'm going to go ahead and cut off. No, I think I'll leave the root on, and I'll show you why later. Sometimes you have a really nice head of cabbage. This one came off the same time that small one I just showed you. I just peel the leaves off. And I'm putting these leaves into our kitchen for compost. Strip off the outside leaves. Now I have this cabbage head stripped down pretty well. I'm going to look at the leaves and see what I see. The very tip of this cabbage has some discoloration. Those portions of the leaves are brown. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off, and then I'll see how far back the brown goes in this head. Oh, that's great because there's very little damage going back. I'll pull off a couple of leaves here, and I'll be ready to start using this cabbage as well. This cabbage looks great. It isn't as tight as this one right here. It's not as much weight either. That's okay. The cabbage is still going to be good, and it'll be great for the coleslaw that I'm going to go ahead and make. I'll clean up the cutting board. Put all those scraps into the compost bin. We'll take that outside later on. It just started raining. You know, the weather sometimes here gets, it'll be interesting. The one thing I can say is I'm never at a loss for things to do. Now I have a mandolin here that we've had for quite a while. It's great. It's stainless steel, and there are a series of cutting blades that you can slide into this slot right here to cut different shapes. The thickness is adjusted by these thumb screws on the side. I'm going to use a straight blade. Blades slide in from one side. They lock in place. And now we can start slicing some cabbage. I'm going to start with this looser cabbage. I'll slice part of it and then I'll taste it. Not surprisingly, tastes like cabbage. Pretty good. I'll finish slicing this up and then we'll talk some about what I did with this cabbage and why. You can see this head is relatively loose. We're about halfway through the cabbage and the leaves are relatively far apart. That makes the cabbage squish a bit. Still tastes fine. You know, I think I'm going to get a bowl. You know, I like using a stainless steel bowl for a lot of food preparation. Pull all that cabbage into the bowl and I'll get back at shredding some more. You know, there's a practical reason why I've left this root or the stem on the cabbage. Mandolin has a very sharp blade and it can slice skin off pretty quickly. You can ask me how I know. I still have all my fingers, but I did lose a little bit of skin now and then over the years. Well, that will go into the compost, as will some of these pieces. I could try to save it, but you know, I think I'm going to have enough cabbage here for coleslaw. I'm watching to make sure I'm not putting any of the stem into the mix. You know, when you're salvaging vegetables from your garden, which is what we're doing here, it's a really good idea to taste the product before you make it into a dish or preserve it. You want to make sure that what you're going to do, or at least what you're going to use, is of a good quality. Two cabbages shredded for some really nice coleslaw. You want to watch me make some coleslaw? Hang around.
A few moments later.
The coleslaw dressing that I make is mayonnaise based. I use some apple cider vinegar, some sugar, and I like celery seed. So we'll get that started. This dressing is 1 part sugar, ordinary table sugar, 1 part apple cider vinegar, and 4 parts mayonnaise. You whisk that together until there's no more mayonnaise lumps. Let's give it a taste. Tastes perfect. Time to pour it over the cabbage. Now I want to mix it all up. I use tongs. I can reach in there and twist it around so that I get all of the cabbage coated with that lovely dressing. Take your time, move around, get the pieces of cabbage that aren't coated mixed in with the pieces that are. Now what will happen with this dressing over the next little while is we will be extracting some moisture from that cabbage. So there'll be more liquid in the bottom of this bowl. It's no big deal. It actually tastes pretty good, so I will put that into the container that goes in the refrigerator. Hey Irene,
Yeah.
would you like to try some coleslaw?
It's windy outside, so.
It's windy. She says it's windy outside, and it is.
It's really windy. You go outside and you comb your hair. You go outside, it's like whoosh. Like when you go into a supermarket, they got those stupid air curtains to keep the bugs out.
Now it's not fully ripened. It hasn't
That's
wilted
fresh.
down.
It's delicious.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have some for dinner.
Mm.
Woo! Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications because we're going to be doing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I have some interesting things going to start happening next week. Right now we have some rain. Tomorrow we're supposed to have snow.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget, keep brainstorming.
We'll talk with you later. Bye.
Bye.